Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I love Gaghan's films generally. Particularly, I suppose, Traffic and Syriana. I'm curious as to what part of the story gets adapted. Because, to be honest, can I be real honest with you? I think I've been honest about this before. I never finished Barbarian Days.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I didn't know that.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got about halfway through. Nothing against the book, but I suppose I just got bored. I'm going to be honest. I feel like, yeah. You know, I could see how Finnegan's journey would be interesting to somebody who didn't know anything about surf. But to me, I just felt I know all this stuff. This is, well, what's new?
It's funny that you say that because I was thinking of other surf films, movies about surfing, like Hollywood movies about surfing. I lost interest in even going to them after I got out of high school. Like I used to, in my youth, North Shore would be on KTLA, Channel 5,
and you'd
all the time.
Yeah.
Like every Saturday around noon, it would be on. I watched it every time I saw it on. And then the Endless Summer 2, I remember watching endlessly. The In God's Hands came out when I was a junior in high school.
Did you go to the theater? Did you get your popcorn and your Coke?
Me and my buddies made a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
We're just like, Shane Dorian, are you kidding me? Let's go watch that. Shane Dorian was at the height of his professional surfing like powers at that moment.
I drove 3 hours each way to go see Endless Summer 2.
No way.
3 hours each way.
To Portland?
I was like playing in Salem or something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like at an independent art house theater?
I don't know. That was like the only place it was playing in Oregon. And so,
Crazy.
yeah.
Did you have to call Movie Phone to find out?
I'm sure I did. Movie Phone. Yeah. Or maybe I saw it. I don't know how I knew it was in Salem, but yeah.
Well,
all the way.
So that pilgrimage for you or me going to see In God's Hands was like, it was a cultural moment. The movie was, even at the time, I knew the movie was terrible. I've never rewatched it since.
In God's Hands is, I keep thinking it's so bad that it might be good. And then I'll go watch a little clip of it and then remember that it's just really so bad.
I've never rewatched it since. I should.
Go watch a little
exercise.
Shane Dorian's acting is a level of awful that I think should, I don't know why it doesn't get mentioned. There's something off about it where it's just not, it is so bad, but it's not in the bad that I want to watch it again and again because it's so bad kind of zone. So but I don't know what at all would be even remotely redeeming about it.
I wonder if he thought that was the beginning of a real promising Hollywood career.
For sure. I mean, he had like dreamboat good looks. He must have. Like, why else? Why else would you act? I mean, he acts in that movie. He's not
right.
Being. I mean, he's Shane Dorian, I suppose. But or is he? I think he has a character name.
No, he's definitely playing a character.
Yeah. But he's acting.
Yeah. Or he's trying.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's ended up just being a terrible version of Shane Dorian.
Yeah.
So Point Break, I watched all the time, but everything after that, like
You're
the
done.
remake of Point Break, I never even saw. Blue Crush, I don't think I even saw. Soul Surfer, I saw years after the fact. Chasing Mavericks, I watched 2 or 3 months ago for the first time ever.
How bad is Chasing Mavericks?
To be honest, I was kind of coming and going out of the room. I didn't sit down and watch it, and I wasn't offended by it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had to go. It was a surfing magazine when I was working for Surfing Magazine. The studio invited up the staff of Surfing Magazine for a private screening on the studio lot. I can't remember which studio it was. And I remember watching it, sitting there amongst my Surfing Magazine cohorts, thinking this is the worst thing ever. And then I said something to that effect afterwards, like when they were like, okay, what did everybody think? Like trying to get the... And I said something snide, but then everybody gave me dirty looks and people seemed that they liked it. And I was like, whoa.
That's hilarious.
So the fact that it did not offend you, maybe I'm wrong on Chasing Mavericks.
No, I don't remember thinking it was... Well, I guess I went into it thinking it was going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Because all these other examples I just gave are awful. And so that maybe it just over-delivered my expectation.
I don't know how. The guy who plays Jay looks like such a turkey the entire time.
Really?
With his curly hair and whatnot.
Yeah.
He's really bad.
What about Breath, the Tim Winton?
Never. I started it And I was too bored to. I mean, that thing was watching paint dry.
Really?
Did you watch it?
I liked it.
It was.
Here's where we diverge then officially.
It was so boring. Boring. It was well acted. I liked the Simon, whatever, Australian actor, and the two kids were engaging, but just the story, I was just like, literally, they could not have made a more boring film.
Okay. Then we need to tease this apart because for the reasons you think it's boring, I think is why I liked it.
You thought it was meaningful.
Well, yes, but that's not really it. I think like when we look at Barbarian Days and what will ultimately make it good versus not, how do you make a good surf film? And I think that it needs to not be about surfing.
Sure.
And Breath wasn't really about surfing.
So is Barbarian Days about finding yourself?
No, that's the problem. I think the book is about surfing.
Yeah.
I honestly, I was like, I'd have to reread it to really feel committed to that idea. But I think the book is about surfing. And so they're going to make a movie about surfing and it's just going to be bad.
Gaghan's a big surfer. He's buddies with Travis Foray. Speaking of surfing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Travis Foray goes and hangs out with
Funny.
Stephan Gaghan every now and again.
Why? How?
I can't remember.
Gaghan read his What Youth or something?
No, because I think it was pre-What Youth. I think Gaghan has always been, I mean, I think he's a surfer. And I don't know how he and old Trav Foray got hooked up, but yeah, I think they've worked on projects together and whatnot.
Well, good for Trav. Maybe he can get a consulting fee out of this.
Well, and maybe he could figure out how to make the film. Yeah, you're right. Barbarian Days is about surfing, but is it? I never finished it, so I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. I mean, it's been years since I read it, but I'm almost 100% certain it is. With any memoir, there's going to be a lot of kind of life philosophy and struggles of whoever he was dating at that time and leaving them to go surfing. But the book is about surfing.
Sure. And so does it try to peel back the layers then? Does the film peel back the layers on this is a surfing life?
I don't think you can do that successfully in a film.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that that's interesting enough to make a film out of. And I would argue with even maybe like The Sopranos, like great television, great film. I don't think The Sopranos was about the mob.
No, it was about family.
It's about family. And then these negotiations you make and these compromises and you compromising your own morality and all that sort of stuff. And it's set in the environment of the mob, which makes it very compelling for anybody who's not from that world. But so I think that's what they need to do with that's been the misstep of any surf film previously. But again, with Barbarian Days, if it is about surfing, I don't know where the interest is.
Who plays Finnegan?
Great question. I looked at Stephan Gaghan's face. I was like, dude, he kind of looks like Finnegan.
Yeah.
Not that he acts, but because you would need multiple actors because the book covers decades.
Youth to, I mean, when does it end? How old is he? Is he in New York working and trying to surf?
Yeah, it is, I think.
Okay.
Who did you think of an actor?
No, the only actor I thought of was Richard Gere, but Richard Gere is way too old.
Yeah.
But to me, Finnegan's got the silver fox thing a bit. But again, he was a handsome youth, if I recall, flipping through the pictures.
He's tall, thin, kind of flat-faced, kind of narrowed eyes, like always look like he's squinting at the horizon. Yeah, I'm not sure who the actor would be. I wish I would have thought about that in advance. What about Ed Norton?
Ed Norton, but I think too old still. That's the problem, is I always think of actors that I grew up watching, which all of them are too old.
Totally.
Like maybe Robert Pattinson could do it.
Yeah, he could do it.
The question, Finnegan, the part that I read of Barbarian Days, the way he writes his own character, he's not funny. He's not particularly it's really a well-written, obviously won the stinking Pulitzer. It's a well-written book, but I never got a feeling, again, I finished early, but who Finnegan was. And so is the actor, I mean, is he brooding? Is he, what's the style? What is the defining personality trait of the character Bill Finnegan in the book Barbarian Days?
Could there be, or has there ever been, a movie where the main character is almost, I don't know, neutral, and it's all of the other characters that they encounter that become the storylines? Because to me, the book was more about the places.
Sure.
Like I vividly remember Madeira. I vividly remember his time in San Francisco, and Doc Renneker was really the character in that scene. And so could it just be this neutral person passing through these places, and the places are full of color and personalities?
I don't think so, because I think the whole point of
you need a protagonist.
You need the vehicle that the viewer sees this world through. So Finnegan's going to have to, but that's my question, is what is his character? He wasn't antagonistic to anybody, right?
No.
He wasn't getting in fights.
No.
He wasn't particularly like poetic or romantic about stuff, right?
Nope.
And so what is his film character feel like? 'Cause it's got to feel like something.
You have to have conflict as well. There's
Yeah.
no conflict in the book. So the protagonist needs to have an arc of something that they are struggling with and ultimately overcoming. There should be an antagonist, somebody that he's in conflict with, an adversary. And so that could be his own pursuit with like living this fanciful nomadic life versus him being called to like sit down and live a more normal, predictable life.
I mean, if Traffic or Syriana is any, like those films jumped all over the place, right? It wasn't the narrative through line. There wasn't one narrative through line. Remember in Syriana and in Traffic, there was like 4 or 5 different stories happening at the same time that would both weave in and out, but then some of them would never weave in and out of the other ones. I wonder if there's a way where he Syriana's it, where you have like multiple parts of Finnegan's life playing out at the same time.
Yeah. So now, you know what I'm thinking would be a really interesting a book adaptation that follows a lot of these things that we're talking about was Wild by Cheryl Strayed.
Yeah.
With Reese Witherspoon.
Yep.
Did you ever see that?
I never did.
It's phenomenal. First of all, it's phenomenal. Like as a film, it's
not
so good.
I got the feeling from it that it was Eat, Pray, Love.
No.
I love to hate watch Eat, Pray, Love.
I watched it for the very first time, I would say 6 months ago.
Oh man, if Eat, Pray, Love is on a plane, I will watch it every time just because I hate every scene so deliciously.
Yeah.
I just get to sit in like that wonderful feeling of hatred.
Yeah. It is
a terrible, like she's a hateable person. Every cliched adventure she goes on is utterly hateable. Like the cunt eating pasta. I mean, it's so wonderfully hateable. Every part of it.
Cliche is the right way to put it for sure. Well,
I got the feeling that Wild was
Wild
that too.
is nothing like
Okay.
it. Nothing like it at all. But it does exactly what you're doing in terms of jumping back and forth in time and almost in conflict. Like, but it weaves it together really, really beautifully and poetically. And it's based on a book, and the book is a memoir. There's a lot of parallels here, actually, the more I think about it.
Do you think that the World Surf League will get involved in the promotion and whatever of Barbarian Days, the film?
If they're still in business at the time?
Do you think they will try to attach themselves to it? Like, this is us. Hey, guys.
Yeah,
this is our thing.
So there's no chance that they do a deal with Amazon Studios, I would say, to actually make that official. But if it has great success, I could absolutely see them promoting it as part of their world.
Chiming in, trying to get the spotlight of the Pulitzer and the film and all of it. Like, this is surfing.
Totally.
It's us.
Totally. Now let's talk about, there's more often than not, books being adapted to movies get lambasted for not being as good as the book.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that? Can you make, if the book is actually good, which I think it is, do you think the film could ever fully represent the quality of the book?
For sure. I mean, okay. I think there's plenty of cases where, I'm trying to think one off the top of my head, but where I know that people dislike the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Terry Gilliam directed, Johnny Depp starred, but for example, Benicio. I liked the movie. I didn't think it was high art, but I also liked the book, and I felt they both existed separately from each other in a way. But I think there are examples where the movie is much better than the book. Like stinking The Godfather. I mean, I never read Mario Puzo's book, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. But
I think the book was written after the movie was, like they had the screenplay. They wanted to do a movie about
Italian,
the mob.
Yep.
And they had the screenplay. And there was this track record of New York Times bestsellers, basically, like influencing the box office. So after they had the screenplay, or at least the idea for the film,
They went and wrote the book.
they then hired Mario Puzo to write the book, and then they paid. They actually the studio went and bought a ton of copies just to get it up New York Times bestseller list, knowing that the film would be coming out.
I never knew that.
I'm pretty sure.
That's a-
You'd have to look it
That's
up,
a
but I'm
fantastic
almost
little fun fact right
yeah.
there.
But it was at a time where you could just
Manipulate?
yeah.
Yeah.
You could totally just like manipulate all of it. But I'm almost 100% sure that's the case.
That's fantastic.
And the book did come out before the movie, obviously.
But
But it was like they agreed to the movie, they greenlit it, they hired the screenwriters,
Okay.
they outlined the movie, and then they're like, hey, by the way, get Puzo to go do this.
okay.
Yeah, so I don't think the book's great.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Silence of the Lambs,
Yep.
I don't know, I never read the book, but the phenomenal film.
Great film.
I would argue Fight Club is as good as the book.
Did you read Fight Club?
Yeah.
Fight Club, the movie. Yeah, I never read Fight Club, so I can't speak to it. But
Did you like the movie?
I love the movie. Of
So
course.
I watched the movie first, and then I went back and read the book, and then liked it so much I read all of his other books.
Chuck.
Which Chuck Palahniuk, which
Yep.
are some are better than others.
Yeah.
But the movie absolutely is as good as the book, I
Yep.
would say. The Shining, One
Yep.
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, all of those Lord of the Ring films. I never read those books either, but I guess those would be equal. So yeah, there's examples for sure.
Yeah.